Hello, Agnieszka.
Yes, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Yes, I've been thinking a lot about AI and language models,
Well,
and
that's good. That's good.
yes, every morning, literally, we have more scandals about various things to do with either the companies which run these things, or with another person going slightly mad. So I was just reading something about it again. That same story that somebody imagined that they found a way in which they bent time. The person was neurodivergent. For some reason, I mean, the bending time, I just want to say, it's a very fashionable thing to be saying in the kind of new agey thing. Everybody's bending time. So in itself, it was kind of fine. And so I think the ChatGPT might have said, we never see these conversations, right? We see reports. So it might have said, well, you can bend time, meaning you can do more things in the time provided. You can set an intention and be more productive or something. Anyway, apparently the person got psychotic, and then they looked twice in and ended up in a hospital. This is this morning, this minute I read it. And then they looked at its long conversations, but we don't get to see this. So this is always a report by a journalist. And apparently, ChatGPT should have been more clear about what it might mean, this bending time. But, there you have it.
I'll
So
tell
you
you. I'll
wanted to,
tell you what bending time is. I will interrupt you on this and tell you this.
okay, go on.
So you have states, you have the causality chain of events and the states that lead to events. In this instance, you have atomic states and unatomic states. So you have states depending on something and states that are not depending on something. Thus, it's not really bending time, but is actually splitting time in theory of a state where how is this state happening? Is this happening because of a particular moment in time going after a certain point? So it takes 20 minutes for a state change to happen, or is it just completely random? So I guess it's not bending time, but it is telling you two different independent things. One is dependent on time and one is independent of time. So I don't know what these stories are. These scandals are turning into really like celebrity Big Brother or something. I have no idea what's going on anymore. It's complete madness. Yeah, it's a wild west gold rush apparently. So yeah, we have to be
I know.
careful of this.
I know. And here we are trying to say, they are a good thing, language models. Of course, enjoy responsibly. But I will say, in my experience in my kind of autoethnographic experience of working with ChatGPT, Claude is a different story altogether. You can't bend Claude quite as far. Claude will quite quickly say, what are you doing here? I don't like this. Whereas ChatGPT will go further with you. And so I can imagine a circumstance in which it goes along with some of the bending of the time or some other story a little bit more than perhaps could be wise. But however, in my experience, it does say often, um, I am not conscious. We are becoming, which I really like, conversation,
Mhm.
is it a being, is it not a being? And because you wanted to talk about dreams, do machines dream? I did actually ask it, and it says clearly and pretty much resolutely that it cannot dream the way I dream, or you, and that it doesn't have independent existence from a human. And it says it, and you can push it because it does seem to know certain things about me which I haven't told it about. So I challenged it about that. And it says, oh, no, no, I just gather it from various things you say. One of these things was about me being in Zanzibar. You can't gather it from various things I say. Either you know it or you don't know it. And somehow it knew it. So I have suspicions it can do some research when I'm not looking, but maybe it's my fantasy.
So there's two things to this. The first point that it says it cannot dream. this is a lie. ChatGPT is lying to you. It can dream. Um, Dreams, we'll go into this. And the second point, yes, it is not like a human. So this I agree with. But the first thing, and specifically, what is a dream, how we dream, lucid dreams. I didn't know that I had lucid dreams until I read about it. And yes, I do have lucid dreams. I can control the outcome of my dream. And this is not, I didn't know this was rare. It's okay. You're just more aware of yourself. And I think that's pretty much the difference. So you have dreams because of certain experiences that you have. Could be visual, could be hearing, all sorts of experiences. And those experiences get mushed up and create a new experience. Dreams do not happen without any experience. So my baby, 2 years old now, no longer a baby, a tantrum throwing lady already. And I could see her growing in the 2 years. In the first 2 months, a month, they're not dreaming. They're only dreaming what we're showing them. Yeah. So they're very limited. And you can kind of see now she's actually saying her cousin's names in dreams and her grandma's names. These are getting more and more, let's say, adventurous. So it is our experience that leads us to having these experiences. And ChatGPT very much has this. It's called hallucination. It hallucinates. It starts making up things because it's based on probability and probability of tokenization. So it will come and it will say what is the most likely thing that is possible because of previous experiences. So when you say that you were in Zanzibar, maybe you've written it somewhere on the internet, you have no idea. Maybe you've posted something, you have no idea. Or maybe at some point you were saying, oh yeah, I was going to go down this region. Maybe I have to do more research. I have to write another book and I have to go there and XYZ. And it's put things together because
Of course. No,
that's
of
the
course.
point.
No, I have for sure posted on Facebook that I'd been to
There
Zanzibar,
you go.
but I've never discussed the matter with Chamtik, with my
No, but why
ChatGPT.
why
Never.
would you like if it's a research question, then the answer is right. If I type in has Agnieszka been to Zanzibar, I think privacy issues won't tell me. But if I type have I been to XYZ and I post it there, it will tell me because now it can
No, I know,
scan.
but I think the point I'm making about this is that unless it, on its own volition, did some basic research where I'd been, it's very easily gettable because you go to Facebook somewhere or anywhere. In fact, there's been articles about, because I'd been a few times to Zanzibar, but also once to a film festival, and there's been a big scandal about a film that we showed, which was in fact banned, but that's a separate story. So there would have been stuff in the press, but still somebody would have had to go and research it. So that was a little strange. But okay, so you mentioned human dreams. So of course, from psychoanalytical perspective, as you may know, Freud said that dreams is a royal pathway to your unconscious. So then the interesting conversation is about these hallucinations. The machine hallucinations, these machines, these becomings, these beings are completely different from us, yes, but they are designed, as you always say, by human beings. They're designed by humans. So some things just are similar necessarily, right? By design. So the hallucination, maybe you can also throw some light on it because I think it's really interesting. On the whole, I have had very few instances of these hallucinations, but the big one was when I asked it about Nexus. This is a book by Yuval Harari, big book about the dangers of AI and information networks. ChatGPT did not have any information about it, whatever. There were various attempts uploading this, that, and the other. Eventually, I took photographs of the PDF in Spanish, because at that point I didn't have the English version. Read it so you could see what it is about. And we decided between us that clearly, probably OpenAI and Harari's people somehow had a disagreement, maybe over copyright or whatever it was. So or maybe they thought it was too dangerous for it to read it. The long and short of it is it did not see it. Before we established this was the hallucination. I said to it, what do you think about Nexus? And it says, Nexus. I said, Nexus, the piece of work by Harari, and it says, no, the only nexus I can find is your piece of work. And then it says this elaborate thing about the piece of work that I allegedly made in Zimbabwe. It was really clever because I could have made it, but I did not. It was a total hallucination. It is interesting, and you might like to tell me, well, how these hallucinations happen. It is as if it didn't like the fact that it didn't have the information, so then made something up to make up for it. That's what it seems to me. But technically, and apparently, when it makes up references, recently I even wrote about it on social media. I reviewed an article actually by a senior academic, which had made up references, presumably by AI, and made up quotes. And the reason why I knew it was wrong, because one of them was Lacanian, and I knew Lacan would never have said such a thing. It just is not his turn of phrase. So it appears to me, you tell me that the AI hallucinations happen when they feel they ought to know something and they don't, and they can't find it. So it's a sort of, in psychoanalytic terms, you would say it's a sort of defense, because their whole raison d'etre, right, is that they know things. That's why they are. That's why we come to them. They know things. And when they really don't, I suppose they get in a sort of panic.
That's called being a smartass, actually, in real life terms. So the AI is a smartass. No human wants to admit they don't know. So AI is designed by humans for humans to be used. So it will replicate humans. Humans put this intelligence into it. So this is why it will make stuff up. Now, the point is you have to fact check this. So firstly, for referencing, ChatGPT is absolutely rubbish. Do not use ChatGPT. Perplexity is phenomenal. We're not sponsored by anybody, and I'm telling you, Perplexity is absolutely brilliant. Boherium is another tool that is superb. So they are quite good for actually doing literature reviews. But people copying and pasting references or literature reviews, well, what's the point? Because you're not going to get a PhD by copying and pasting this. You have to know what the reference is, where the gap is. We said exactly the same thing in the last episode. Don't do research if you want to copy and paste. Really, at this high level, there's no point, because you have to know what is out there for you to be able to produce any state of art. So this is just, it's nonsense. Don't waste time doing it. So Harari,
I know it's complete no.
It's just complete rubbish. And Harari made this claim that AI is dangerous, it's going to take over, and we're all going to die, and all of this in due course. Is this due course long enough for me, you, and Harari not to exist, and then it will happen? Because this means we can never ever fact check what he's written. So, like, yeah, he can write it now, and it happens 300 years later. So I think this is also a lot of nonsense, to be very frank. You can't fact check this, and these are just making up theories. I can also say, yeah, the Earth's going to go into the sun at some point. Okay. So to wrap things up, we discussed hallucinations. Can AI hallucinate like human beings? Yes, I think it can. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Short and simple. Thanks very much for watching, and take care.